Okay, so basically I'm going to share some informations about the literature review, all right? Some of the things that I did when I did my PhD, all right? So I also will share with you, I got three examples, okay? Three theses, right? Which is in different research methods, research methodology, okay? The first one is my friends did her PhD was she collect data with the quantitative methods, another one qualitative, and myself I did quantitative but for the experimental. The other one is quantitative but she conduct a survey. All right. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, okay, feel free to share any information that you think that it will be useful and beneficial to share with the others. All right. Okay. So these are basically the outline that I think maybe some of you already did something in for your research, right? Before you started to plan what are the algorithm, what are the techniques that you can enhance. I'm sure that you already did something, we call it as analysis, right? Analysis the existing study, right? Before you come out with the something that you want to propose to enhance or something, right? So basically, so I hope that maybe these are maybe the things that you already did, all right? Okay, so the first, I'm going to, these are the outline. So I'm going to start with the first step, all right? So meaning that if let's say there is a first semester student in this way, I'm not sure, okay? But I think I know the second semester student, which is Shafi and also Najiha, right? Okay, so the first step, I'm going to share what are the first step that you need to do. Okay, actually the first step is very important. Okay, I know that maybe because we are from the engineering or we are from the computer science area, maybe sometimes we always jump to the conclusions. Jump to the conclusion meaning that we, for example, let's say before this we used to use a printer from HP, for example. So let's say suddenly we've decided to buy a new printer which is from the Canon. Okay, so maybe some of the installation type might be different. Okay, the functionality also might be different. Okay, and I think that most of the engineering person there will simply go to the conclusion whereby they don't want to look at the manual. Okay, they just try and error, something like that. Okay, but I think that for the literature review, there's no shortcut for that. Okay, in order to get a comprehensive literature review. Okay, and I believe that you already understand that a very comprehensive literature you should have, okay, in order to come out with the ideas to improve whatever you want to improve lah, right? In terms of algorithm, maybe a model, a framework, and so on, right? So I'm going to share some of the first step, and then I'm going to share about this structure, some of this structure. Okay, so actually when you Google, there's so many. So and then I'm going to share about think is some of the questions that you should have in your mind. Okay, you must have a list of questions that what you should do. Okay, and then we are going to have I'm going to share with you some of the example. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to have some of the example of a thesis from my friends. Okay, so based on the comments from the examiner, seems like the chapter 2, okay, which is the literature, is quite comprehensive, quite good. Okay, so there's no comment for the literature review. So I'm going to share you, okay, some of the tips that how are we going to make sure that our literature review has already covered, okay, what for our research. All right, and then I'm going to conclude it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first step. Okay, so this one, I'm sure that the first step is search for relevant literature on your topic. Okay, so meaning that, for example, let's say you are trying to do a research in terms of sorry, there's so many distractions today. Okay, so for example, like we are trying to search for relevant literature on your topic, like myself. Okay, actually my research when I did my PhD, I tried to propose an algorithm. Okay, I tried to propose an algorithm which is to enhance, okay, the existing algorithm. But I'm going to focus on the different area whereby we can see that there are many articles, many research that has been done in that TCP algorithm, but they are did in the SQL event test cases. But for my research, I'm going to focus on the event sequences, because biologic that the event sequences test cases might have different properties, okay, different features compared to the single event, okay, something like that. So meaning that the first one, you need to search for the relevant literature on your topic. Okay, when I did my PhD, I went to one of the courses, okay, which is conducted by, I think, Dr. Marini from UKM. Okay, so her advice is that how are you going to make sure that the search string, okay, I'm sure you already knows about the search string, right? Okay, the strings mean that the combinations of keyword that you are going to use when you are trying to search for any articles, right? Okay, so the tip is from her, how are you going to make sure that we are use the correct search string? So what you can do is that you try to search, let's say, okay, like my case, I'm going to search for example, test case prioritizations plus event sequence test cases. Or maybe if you are trying to embed the machine learning, so maybe you are going to search for test case prioritization plus machine learning, or NBL, for example, algorithm, okay, that they use to prioritize the test case, for example, let's say. All right, so once you click search, okay, let's say that once you click search, let's say that the first page, okay, definitely it will be listed so many papers, right? So let's say that the page listed around 10 papers, and we can see that almost of the paper is actually meet your requirements, okay, fulfill what you are trying to search for. All right, so and then you go to the next page, second page, tab 2, tab 3, and so on. Okay, so let's say that the first page, okay, you can get a few papers which is related that you run, so it shows that your search string is quite good. Okay, it's okay. Okay, but let's say once you try to click search suddenly on the maybe 1 or 2 papers only, so it seems like your search string is not true. Okay, it's not correct. Okay, so that is one of the things that how we're going to make sure that I think the search string is very important. Okay, the string is very important because the way you are propose a new algorithm, the way you are propose something to enhance, it depends on how thorough you did research. Okay, how comprehensive is your studies, how comprehensive your analysis when you did your study, right? Because definitely if we are trying to enhance something, we must study what are the weaknesses and what are the weaknesses and strength. All right, and then you're going to, okay, so this is actually like the first step and the second step. Right, okay, so let's say the second step is evaluate and select sources. Okay, as I mentioned to you, there are many sources outside there. Okay, even though the most popular is Google Scholar and our Easy Proxy, there are so many actually sources outside there. Right, so how are we going to make sure? I believe that there's so many papers. Okay, normally what we did is that once for example, normally we are going to search, right, our search string, and then we click search. So what is the first thing that we are going to do? We are going to read the title first, right? And then let's say we read the title. Okay, the title is make sense. Okay, maybe I can find something from this title. Okay, let's see. And then once you click it, definitely you are going to read the abstract first, all right, before you download it and you read into the detail, right? So definitely you are going to start with after the title, you're going to read the abstract, right? So the abstract is actually, that's why in order for us to submit a paper, we are recommended, okay, to submit a paper which is you must have the introductions. Okay, so what's are the problem? Okay, Lukman, can you see my slide? Lukman?
Yes.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's why our abstract must be comprehensive. Okay, it must consist of the introductions of the area that we want to do, the problem, the purpose solutions, on what is actually, if let's say that's a paper in terms of the review, okay, don't have results yet, so maybe it will be the expected output. Or if we already did experiment, then we can produce the conclusions for the experiment, right? Okay, so that is the second step. So the third step is that, okay, because there are so many resources that we can get, right, for in articles or journals, right? So that's why definitely we just download it. Okay, that is the one thing that I always did when I did my PhD. Okay, I just download it and put it into folder. Okay, and sometimes I will create one folder. This is the paper that I searched January, February, something like that. Okay, all right. So you have to identify. So after you download it, you get all the information. You need to identify. Okay, you need to make it. You need to categorize it so that it will be easy for you to search it again, and it will be easy for you to categorize it. For example, let's say, like my example just now, let's say we are trying to propose a test case prioritization algorithm with the enhancement of the machine learning, for example. So we're going to allocate that, okay, this paper are focused on the TCP only. So this paper, the combinations of the TCP and the machine learning, for example. Okay, so we must to identify the theme so that it will be easy for us to find the gaps after that. Okay, and then, okay, so this is one more thing, okay? And I believe that all of you will understand about this one. Okay, let's say this paper is, we consider it as our anchor paper, all right? Anchor paper meaning that we are going to study the strength and weakness of that paper, and then we are trying to enhance, right, the existing one, all right? So for example, let's say this is our anchor paper. Okay, so that is the one thing that we call it as the snowballing. Okay, so meaning that from this anchor paper, we are trying to search for, is there any articles, any journal that has been cited by that anchor paper, okay? So that we can drill down, okay? What are the problem from the previous years, all right? So this is one we call it as snowballing. This one is also very important, all right? We call it as a snowballing. Okay, and then there's another one thing is that, you know, when you try to, this is the screenshot is either from the Google Scholar, all right? And I think that you are familiar with this screen, right? So let's say it is recommended, okay, for you to cite a paper or to download the paper which is cited more, okay? So you can see here that the first paper is cited by 7,639, right? So it means that that paper is maybe very useful, has an empirical study whereby that's why that paper has been cited by so many peoples, right? So that is one thing, right? So definitely the good things, definitely people will buy it, right? So same goes to the journal articles. Okay, so the third step would be, this is the third step. So we're going to the fourth step. Okay, this is actually the fourth step. Okay, so we need to outline your literature review structures. So basically, there are four structures lah. Okay, the first one is the chronological. Okay, this one I believe all of you already realize about it. So we are going to sorting based on the year. So start from the older to more recent publications, and then we need to, in terms of the thematic, whereby we organize around several key themes, as I mentioned before. So meaning that we're going to have this paper are going to focus on the CCP, this paper are going to focus on the event sequence test case. This is for the single event. Okay, why we need to study the single event also? Even my research was in the event sequence, because definitely I must find what are the differences, what are the different, okay, between the single and the event, so that my gap will be more, it can prove lah my gap, something like that, right? And then it comes to the methodological, whereby we compare the different research methods that being used across the study. This is also very important. Like my friends, the example that I want to share with you. Okay, my friend actually she proposed, she make us her study was focused on whether the adoption of the enterprise architecture. Okay, so how is it the status of the enterprise architecture? Okay, how people from the government agency accept that EA? Okay, because the government is actually trying to push all the government agency to apply the enterprise architecture because of this and that. All right, so she's trying to make a research what are kind of the factors that actually can influence, okay, to make sure that all the government agency will adopt the EA. For example, what is the best way, okay, to make sure that all the government agency can adopt the EA. Okay, so and then we are talking about the theoretical, whereby we used to discuss opposing theories or model. Okay, for example, like my research, I did the TCP. Okay, for example, so I'm going to, because the TCP has a different people, different researcher might use a different combinations, a different properties, okay, in their algorithms, right? So we have to look at that, okay, and then we are trying to find what are the gaps that we can try to suit. Okay, so based on the research that we want to, based on the area that we want to focus with the existing one, and then we are trying to make an analysis, right? So that's why it's very important for us to discuss the theories and the models. Okay, like one of my friends, she did research on the, she's trying to propose a model, okay, a framework, which is to know what is, how the relationship between the IT experts and the top managers, okay, in terms of how to make additions for an agency, for example. So based on that goals, so she's trying to make a comparison, okay, from the existing theories and models. Okay, so later I'm going to show you the table contents of her literature review chapter. All right, so you can get an idea. All right, okay. So this is a basic one. So definitely for the LR, we should have the introduction, okay, and then we should have the main body. The main body meaning that you cannot copy paste. You must rephrase, use your own words. All right, it must consist of how are you going to criticize the statement, okay, that has been stated, or maybe you have to criticize one of the methods that has been done from the previous research, right? And then you have to try to conclude, okay, what is your opinion, okay, what is your recommendations, okay, or maybe you want to comment something about the previous research. Okay, so this is actually similar to the previous slide. Okay, we have to restate our research questions. Okay, like this. Okay, I know maybe some of you, let's say you said, okay, let's go to Paradigm Mall. Okay, maybe some of you will go there just to jalan-jalan. Okay, window shopping. Okay, but definitely normally when we decide, okay, when we decide to go to a mall, definitely with the aims and goals. We want to buy this, we want to buy that, all right? We have a goal, okay, in our mind before we go to the mall, right? So same goes to the research, right? So before we go to the, before we want to find the literature, we want to find the paper, definitely we must have in our mind, must have what are the things that we want to search, okay? So that will be the answer, you can get that answer based on the research questions, all right? Okay. Okay, so this is basically the structure of LR. Okay, maybe already all of you already know. We're going to start from the broad topic, and then we're going to narrow, and then we are going to the research questions. The broad topic, for example, let's say let's say you are trying to find, you are trying to improve. Another example is that, okay, maybe you are trying to improve the mutation generations. Mutation generation, you're going to improve it because of you want to increase, right, the fault detectness, for example. So let's say maybe the previous work, let's say capable to generate maybe around 100 mutants and maybe around 10 categories, okay, with different mutants, all right? So that would be the broad topic, would be mutation testing, for example. So we go to the narrower. So maybe you are going to look at under code notation only. So the narrow part will be the code annotations, right? Plus with that, what? Maybe you are going to focus on the mobile applications, or maybe you are going to focus on the GUI testing. So that would be your narrow work. All right. So the research question is actually will be details. Okay, that would give you an answer for why you want to, what are you want to enhance. Okay, what you want to enhance. All right. So this is the thing part that I mentioned just now. The basic questions that you should have in your mind before you start to do literature. Okay, I believe that all of us, okay, when we did our first degree, before we propose a project for our FYP, definitely there also one chapter which is, we call it as literature review chapter 2, right? We have to make a comparison, all right, with the existing one. If let's say we are trying to propose a system, let's say we are trying to propose a system A, so before we come out with the proposed new system, definitely we need to do a study at least. Okay, at least we must have two existing systems, and then we make a comparisons. Okay, maybe in terms of the features, maybe in terms of the scope, maybe in terms of the resources and something else. All right, so definitely we will go through the literature review also, right? Okay, so these are the things about the that you need to think. Okay, so the first one is what is the purpose of the review? Okay, like we go to the shopping mall lah, like I mentioned just now. All right, so we must have the aim, right? So what questions or hypotheses will the review address? Okay, it will referring to the first one, okay, the purpose, and then we are trying to derive what are the questions, right? So how are the key terms defined? This is the most important, are related to the search string that I mentioned to you just now, right? The search string is very important. Okay, I would like to say that try to do your best for chapter 2. Okay, I have a true story here. I was graduated from UPM, University Putra Malaysia. So there's one my friend, okay, my good friend is actually his viva is actually 2 days. Okay, 2 days, but actually morning till afternoon lah, but 2 days. Okay, the first day, okay, meaning that start from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. the examiner just ask him questions about the LR only, you know. So that's why LR is actually very important. Okay, some people say that you need to always update your LR uh, every month maybe, or every semester, so that your LR will be always updated. Okay, and it will always sync with whatever you've changed during the implementations. Okay, maybe because maybe during the LR you are going to see that let's combine Nescafe with Milo, for example. Okay, but maybe during the implementation there will be some of the limitations whereby you cannot execute it. All right, and then maybe you're going to change it Nescafe with strawberry. Okay, for example. Okay, so let's say, so the implementation is different already, right? Okay, it's not sync with what you already did in your LR chapter before that. So that's why actually for the LR you need to make sure that you always update it. Okay, so that it will always sync with your implementations. All right. So that is true story, yeah, my friend. Okay, but she graduated already lah. All right. Okay. So 1 day only for from the LRC. Okay. All right. So what and for what reason is not going to be done? Okay. This one you also have to set in your mind. You must know what are the boundaries and why were they chosen. Okay. Like I mentioned just now, I'm going to improve the TCP algorithm, but I'm going to focus on the event sequence only. All right. So what are the boundaries? So meaning that my boundaries would be on the event sequence only. Okay, but I need to know also about the other event, the other test case. Why? Choose to make it my gap so that I can make a comprehensive gap. Okay, so the gap will be strong. All right. So what are the origins of the topic? Okay, so why is the research important? Okay, why we need to improve, why we need to enhance that, what is the existing problem, for example. Okay, and then what are the major issues? Okay, what are the key concept, theories, and ideas. This one is also actually related to the first step that I mentioned just now. Okay, like I promised, like I mentioned just now, I'm going to share 3 example theses. Okay, not thesis lah. I just want to show you the structure, okay? Meaning from the title itself, from the problem here, this is the title. So from the problem here, so the structure, meaning that what are the contents that should be in your LR, so that you will make sure that your LR is good enough, all right? Is comprehensive, okay? Because I think the most popular questions during Viva is that how are you sure that you already did a thorough, a comprehensive research from the existing studies? I think that will be the most popular questions, okay, during your assessment, or maybe during your to defend your proposal, okay, or especially in your Viva, okay. Because when we said about the resources, there's so many resources, there's so many papers, articles that we can read, right? But how are we going to make sure that the things that we read is actually good enough? All right. Okay, I wanted to share with you one story, okay, my real story. When I did my PhD in September 2015, okay, so at that time when I met my senior, okay, she actually senior 2 years, okay, so that is my first semester. And then I asked her, okay, how many paper I should read one day, okay, to make sure that I can grade on time. Okay, that time, okay, my aim was I was to grade on time because I don't want to pay I got scholarship from JPA, okay, so I don't want to pay JPA lah. If not, I have to pay them 160,000. All right, so I try my best to grade on time. So I asked her how many papers I should read, okay, one day. And then she simply said, because he is my senior, right? So I thought that, okay, maybe I can get some experience, okay. Maybe she can share some tips, okay, so that I can my journey will be smooth, okay. And then she said that minimum, she called me Jo, you must read at least 7 papers. You know, I tried my best to read 7 papers, okay, and I cannot understand. And then what I did is that I put it in the Excel, okay, and then I put it. This is the title, this is the author, year, and then what is the methods, what are the limitations, something like that, okay. And then after 1 week, I met my supervisor, and then I informed her, Doctor, this is the list of the paper that I've read, okay. And then my supervisor said, okay, what is your conclusion? And then I told her, I don't understand, okay. So I read so many paper, okay, but I don't understand. But so my advice is that, so then my supervisor advised me that the most important thing is, Johanna, you must to understand, okay. And I think I told my students the same thing, okay, because I teach programming, right? So I thought I told them the same thing. The most important thing is that you can understand, okay. That is very important. You don't have to memorize, because later if you memorize, you cannot apply it in different way. But if you understand the concept, the fundamental, definitely it will help you to make sure that you are going to be a dynamic person, meaning that you are going to, it will be easy for you to apply with anything, okay, something like that, okay. And then after that, okay, I focus with my road, okay. I will read paper and I will make sure that I understand that paper, okay. So that is the good point, okay. The most important thing is that you must understand the paper, okay, how they propose the algorithm, what is the algorithm, what is the limitations, okay. You must understand how they did the experiments, all right. So that is very important, okay. Without understand, you cannot propose something new from the existing one, okay, because you don't understand, okay. So meaning that you cannot move it from here and there, okay. All right, so this is the first example, okay. I think this is some of the example lah, okay. I took it from my JPA friend, because both of them actually have good comments for the LR. So I believe maybe her risky, and maybe because of the structure of the LR chapter is quite good, okay, maybe. All right. So the first one is my friend's her research was enterprise architecture adoption model among public sector organization. Okay, why I highlight this one? This is red color, this is green color, and this is purple color, right? Okay, as I mentioned to you, I went one short course, okay, which is conducted by UKM. I went to one short course about the LR, and that particular lecturer told us that time, this is one keywords, okay. If let's say this is your title, you must make sure that each of these words, so meaning that your chapter 2 must have some of the sections that mention about this enterprise architecture. So meaning that in your LR chapter 2, you must have one sections that are describe, explain about enterprise architecture. Okay, meaning that what is enterprise architecture? Maybe what are the, okay, we see about the this of the structure of this, right? So and then the second one, adoption model. So that lecturer told us that time that, so we must to make sure that each of these word in your title, it must be you must explain it in your chapter 2, right? So that is one thing, right? So my friends is, she's trying to her research is actually to develop and validate a new model of influencing factors towards EA adoption. As I mentioned to you, she's trying to propose a model. Okay, actually, most of my friends from JPE, they will propose a model or a framework. Okay, to enhance the business process of the government agency. Okay, actually, in my batch, we around, I think, nine persons. All right, so I'm the only one who did pair experiment, okay? Algorithm. The rest, 8 of them, are did research in model and framework, okay? So this is the model, right? Okay, so this research does influence of moderator behavior. You see? So meaning that each of the words that we have mentioned in the problem also, okay, we must explain it in our chapter 2, all right? So you can see here that, okay, here we have enterprise architecture. So meaning that here you can see that, okay, 2.1 is introduction lah. So I just skip the 2.1, right? Okay, so in 2.2, all right, she will explain about the enterprise architecture, because here you can see that the first topic is enterprise architecture. Okay, so that's why the first sections in 2, it will be emphasized on the enterprise architecture. Okay, and definitely the 2.2.1 will explain maybe very briefly what is the enterprise architecture. All right, and then we are going to look at what are the benefits. Okay, what are the cycles, right? And then because this one, we are going, we see here that the public sector organizations, right? The public sector. So we are going to look at how, okay, how the EA, how the implementation of EA in the Malaysian public sector, right? And then this is actually the adoption phase, right? And my GOVEA is actually has been proposed by Mampu. Okay, so because in government agency normally whatever new guidelines, new policies, procedures, okay, it will be published, it will be evaluated by Mampu. All right, so for example like this EA, the owner will be Mampu lah. Okay, so Mampu will own, so they will provide guidelines, right? So this is, for example, one of the guideline for the enterprise architecture. Okay, because the enterprise architecture is one of the things that it should be implemented, okay, to all the government agency. Okay, and then the 2.3 here, we can see that the adoption theories, because we are trying to focus on the adoption model. So that's why, okay, in your LR also you need to have one sections that explain about the adoption theories. Okay, so definitely for the adoption, okay, adoption is the main concept. Like if you remember this one, my structure, so the broad topic would be adoption. So that when we go to the narrower, definitely we're talking there, definitely there will be some of the adoption models, okay, that has been done before, right? Okay, so that would be the narrower. So we are going to look at in the in terms of the individual, in terms of the organizational, okay, and then the TOE framework, and also the institution theory. So this one would be under the adoption theory. Okay, so how are you going to make sure that These are the things, these are the subsections that you should have under the adoption section. Okay, so to know this one, definitely you have to read more, read, all right? You have to read, all right? So that is the research students, all right? You have to read, okay? So meaning that through your reading, definitely you are going to read, so many papers, right? So based on the reading, so the keyword is that how are you going to make sure that the subsection should be in your sections is based on your reading. It's been also your reading, meaning that you're going to look at the pattern. Okay, I think that is the one keyword, pattern. Okay, for example, like experiment. My research was I did experiment, right? Experiment. So how I come out with the experimental design. Okay, experimental design meaning that how I'm going to execute my experiment. Okay, so how I propose the experiment design is based on my reading. Okay, so I'm going to find a few papers, okay, which is similar to research that I did, all right, and then I'm going to look at the pattern meaning that okay, this research A, the test case is how is the test case, okay, how they generate the mutants, all right. So for the generate mutants, definitely there would be many ways also. Okay, we can use the tool to generate the mutants. We can also apply, okay, a mutation concept that has been proposed by others research. Okay, so there's many ways, right? So that is called, we call it as a pattern. We need to read more so that from the reading we can conclude that okay, this is the patterns of our research. Okay, so the test case is like this. Okay, where we can get the best test case, for example, like this one, what are the properties, for example. Okay, so let's say for the mutant, how are we going to generate something like that, all right? Okay, and then in 2.4, she stated about the issues and challenge, all right? If let's say we are trying to propose an algorithm, definitely we are going to see some of the limitations, okay, of the existing techniques, all right? So maybe we are going to propose A++. So maybe the previous research was done in area A. So we are trying to enhance this A++, right? So before we come up with the new one that we are going to propose, we must know, okay, what are the current issues, the current problems, all right? So same goes to her, okay? So for this part, she's trying to look at what are the issues and challenges, okay, in the existing EA, all right? And then he's trying to look at the factors, all right? The existing, okay, this is very important, okay? Existing is very important. And because her area was in the public sector organizations, so she has to come out with one subsections that analyze, that study, okay, how is actually EA in the Malaysian public sector. Okay, maybe let's say the standards of the EA, the adoption standard, let's say the benchmark would be 10, for example. So maybe from this 2.4.4, she can get an idea. Maybe now, okay, when she did this research, maybe the government agency reached maybe 4, scala 4 only. All right. So that actually is very important. Okay, to make sure that she can do something to improvise the current model so that it can actually enhance, right, the use of the adoption of the EA in future. All right. So definitely from the concept here, okay, the adoption strategies and also the challenges from the existing one, she can come out with the research gap. Okay, this is the research gap. Okay, try. This is some of the diagram. Okay, I think maybe all of you already know. Okay, it is advisable to have a table, okay, that compare a few research that has been done. Okay, for example, here we have issues and challenges identified from literature review. All right, so in terms of the context, okay, in terms of the context, if let's say myself, I did research on the event sequence, so I'm going to say here maybe in the context of the property of the event sequence test cases itself, right? So what are the issues and challenges? So these are the sources. All right, so I think this is the most popular table that we can have in table in LR. Okay, normally we need to identify. Okay, some students, okay, and some lecturers, they ask their students uh, to have a literature no systematic literature review. All right, so from the SLR, because of the concept of SLR itself, actually, okay, with the view processes that has been proposed by Kitchenham, so it is actually one of the technique that actually can be approved. Okay, that you already did a thorough review, okay, of that area. All right, so you need to have factors here. Okay, you identify factors. So maybe from research A they list maybe 3 factors, from B maybe 2, from something like that. So from this, okay, from these informations, from the identified factors, you can actually try to propose what is the best factors that can improve, okay, that can influence your result later. So this is our existing EA adhesion model, because just now the title is about the adhesion model, right? So maybe for my case, for example, just now we are going to look at the test case prioritizations, okay, in which limitation, something like that, right? Okay, the second example is that ICT project management, knowledge communication model for Malaysian public sector in the digital area. So meaning that there are 3 parts lah. Talking about the ICT project management, so she will define what is actually the ICT project management, okay, in terms of Malaysian public sector. Okay, so what is the definitions of the ICT project management, right? And then how the knowledge communication model actually can help, okay, the Malaysian public sector in digital area to make decisions. All right, because actually in government agency there are a few hierarchy. All right, so that's why they always talk about the grade, okay, in government agency. All right, so because there are hierarchy, right? So normally for the top level manager, the top will be different, okay, something like that lah, right? So there will be sometimes it can cause a miscommunications, okay, between the workers which is grade 48 and below, okay, with our top manager. So normally the top management will be start from 50 52 until JUSA, all right, something like that, right? So that's why, you know, there are so many ICT project management, right? So this is actually one of the way with the knowledge communication model that has been exist. So it hopes that can influence, okay, can enhance what is actually lacked by the this one mentioned public sector in digital. So we can see that here the explanations about the knowledge communications in the project management. So we need to understand the first concept here is that the knowledge communication model, okay, ICT project management. So that's why we need to explain, okay, what is the knowledge community in project management, what is actually the knowledge communication. Okay, if you remember in previous example, she did study on the adoption model of the EA. Okay, adoption model plus EA. Okay, EA plus adoption. So for this one, she did the ICT project management with the knowledge communications. All right. So you can see that the combinations. Okay, like myself, maybe TCP plus the event sequence test cases. All right. So we can see here that from the structure of her chapter 2 here, we have here knowledge communications in terms of the status ICT nowadays. Okay, because she wants to study what are the problem. Okay, what the problem, and then this one success and failure factors. This one, okay, this is also the study that she did. Okay, remember I told you just now, before we come out with the new things, we propose something to enhance some things. Definitely we must know the basic one. Okay, no, sorry, you must know what are the existing problem. Okay, so that it will be easy for us to propose something. Okay, all right, and then this is the existing one. Okay, because she's trying to propose a communication knowledge, right? Okay, so that's why he's trying to study in terms of the existing theoretical models, okay, for propose the knowledge communication. So this is the existing one lah, right? Okay, so these are some of the example. You see, there's so many comparison, right? Okay, for this one, she's compare between the elements and sub-elements. Okay, but different. Like I mentioned just now, maybe research A, they are focusing on 2 factors. The research B, maybe 3 factors, and so on, something like that. So with that table, okay, at least we can summarize, all right, the comparisons of the existing research. Okay, so this is normal one, and then this is qualifications lah. Okay, my friends did this one. She conduct a qualitative. Okay, meaning that based on the interview. Okay, so for this research, she interviewed the top managers. Okay, the 54 and jusa something like that. Okay, and UPM is 54, meaning that professor. Okay, professor and above. All right. So she did interview with those top managers, and then also some of the officers, which is 52 and below, 52 until 41. Okay, to get the feedback, okay, to see that what are the factors that actually can help them to communicate well. All right. Okay, so these are in terms of the KC lah, knowledge communications. Okay, because definitely there will be so many knowledge communication outside there that has been proposed. So we're going to make a comparison. Oh, lama juga dah saya cakap. Okay, 250 already. Alright, so these are some of the major challenges. Okay, let me make it fast. 250 already. Okay, this is my research. Okay, this is my PhD. Okay, and Alhamdulillah, I also have a good comments when, during my viva lah. Okay, from my examiner. So I want to share with you. Okay, so this is actually the flow FGT. Okay, this one actually has been like I mentioned just now, I attend the course. Okay, the LR course. So that particular lecturer said that if you have maybe this diagram, it will be great. And once your examiner see your second page, oh, this is what actually the things that she will explain in the rest of the chapter. So like I mentioned just now, my topic was this one, multi-factor approach. So meaning that I'm going to find what are the best factor, okay, in order for me to prioritize, but I'm going to focus on the event sequence only. As I mentioned to you, there are many types of these cases, but I'm going to focus on the event sequence only, right? So the broad here will be event sequence, okay, because I want to define first what are the features, the difference of the event sequence compared to the single event. Okay, so maybe in terms of the combinations of the test case, maybe in terms of the how they hold the data state value, for example. Okay, and then these are actually a few techniques that you are going to compare. Okay, so these are the existing technique that has been done in that particular area. All right, so these are the comparison. Okay, why I need to have this 3 column, because I try to propose a weightage algorithm. So that's why I try to search, is it this paper propose something that related to the weightage? Why weightage is very important? If yes, why they said that weightage is important? Can we just proceed without weightage? Something like that. There's so many questions, right? I believe that when you did research, you automatically train your brain to think. Okay, if like this, if like that, something like that. All right. Okay, so these are the contents of the structure of my chapter 2. Okay, I think enough for today. 54 minutes already. Okay, I think that's all my sharing. Lukman, over to you, Lukman.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johanna, for the sharing. Okay, so now we open the Q&A session. If anyone has any question or comment regarding the topic shared just now.
Yes, if you have anything to share, you feel free to share. As I mentioned to you, I may not expert in this LR, but I shared what I did, okay, during when I did my PhD, right? Okay, I think there's no question, Luman.
Okay. So we continue to, now I would like to invite Mr. Salim to start his research progress presentation.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Let's me first share my Okay. Why it's not working well? Can you see my presentation, Lukman?
Yes, yes, we can.
Oh, okay. And my sound is clear?
You sound okay, just clear.
Okay. First, I would like to thank Dr. Johanna bint Ahmad for her presentations. It's very useful. Anyway, profs, doctors, brothers, and sisters, I would like to first say Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Kareem to everyone in advance. And before starting my presentation, allow me first to introduce myself. I am Salim Alkhayari. I'm from Oman. I am in third semester, and I am working as a system supervisor in Ministry of Education. My proposal title is Enhancing the Ability of E-Learning Persona in Omani Government Middle Schools E-Learning System. And before getting to the presentation, allow me first to explain the layout of the presentation. I divided the presentation to 3 sections, chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3. Each section has a unique color. So whenever be in green color, it means that I'm in introductions and so on. In each chapter, for example, introduction, I will cover some subtitle like overview, problem background, problem statement, objective and scope, and also a theoretical framework. It's also in the literature review and in research progress. Before getting in problem background, I would like to make sure that 2 words actually is clear to everyone here. Related to persona. Those 2 words, first the persona. I found many definitions for the word persona, and in fact all of them are have the same meaning. Persona have become a part of human-computer interaction and user-centered interaction, practice and study. Also, persona have been particularly relevant in software engineering study. A designer also built persona to to personalize the intention user group. In other words, persona in simple word is presenting of user. It's also presenting the intentions, goals, and behavior of users. It can be defined as fictional people describe a real user vision. I would like to look as to persona as a group of users representing in individuals person. We make a research about the user, then we make a persona with a name, age, behavior, everything related to him, and deal with him as a represented for persona. To make clear, let me illustrate some example of persona. Here we have an example for persona. First one, let's make it bigger. This man represents a group of users. We give him a name, age. We deal him as a real person. We give some details about him, some behavior, interest, like if he interested in social media, what he's less interested, We quote some sentence that reflects to him. Also his behavior in video, in topic, and we can also give him like his behavior. Here also, let's go down. Okay. This is the second example of persona. A girl, it has age, it has a job, state, locations. Also, it has personal features like thinking, feeling. Also, software she tend to use, goals, and motivation. So, persona in simple word is a representative of the users. It's very useful to use persona when you are developing a software solutions. It's not just for the programmer or developer. It's related to all stakeholders who want to make a decision. It's very useful to have a persona which represent all users to him. Also, I have other example, which is a persona that has been made for Microsoft Office. Here they represent some information about the reason of use their product. They don't go for a detail, but even though they give it names and image pictures about the users. So each of those represent group of users. Also, I would like to talk about the term e-learning. E-learning, the term will be repeated along with the word persona in this presentation. However, e-learning here, it might not be the same meaning that you might think about. Every one of us have been part of e-learning, especially in the crisis of Corona. But the e-learning in this presentation especially mean personalized e-learning is the method of customizing e-learning to meet the specific needs and learning interest of individual students. So the learner is control of the speed of learning and learning methodology. This one I have been used with my master degree. I developed two persona, but not related to the learning style, which will be the main topic of this project. Let's see one of the persona that I have made. It's about Susan. It has a name. It has information about her. It has age. Also device like she use desktop or tablet or laptops. Internet coverage, active account for her, browser, which browser. Actually, there is no one way to display the persona. It's different from project to project. Here is also one of persona that I have made in previous study. Let's go to the problem background. Of course, persona has many features and very useful to be used. However, it's not that popular because of some limitations that have been indicated by research. Let's see my problem statement. Creating an e-learning persona is one way to meet the needs and desire of students on e-learning system. However, persona have been challenging to create, plus limitations such as cost, time, involve special skills to create, lack of scaling, no representative data expire. There are no standard steps to create persona. All those limitations I have got it from previous study. Either those study were trying to solve them with different approach than what I did here in my research, or it's suggested for further work. Also, e-learning persona needs to be based on learning style, which has not been done in previous study. Problem background. Here is the main problem, which is e-learning persona lack ability. There is a sub-problem like high cost. Usually creating persona costs a lot of money, especially if it's for big projects. Also, time consuming, it takes long time, and those things choose not to use it from developer. Instead of that, they put themselves in the shoes of users, and that causes a lot of problems. Also, we have expire. Usually persona, because it's related to users, they may be change their behavior, the infrastructure will be changed, so it cannot be for a long time. Then we have to do it again. Also, no standard step to create. You know, I search a lot of research papers, and there is no demonstrated for creation persona step by step. Also required special skills, which is not available on all developer. Sometimes it's non-representative data. That means you cannot approve it to your team leader or to your boss. That's by numbers. That's the group of user which we going to be our customer or our user for our app or solution, software solution. Also, lack of evaluation. Many research papers have tried to do evaluation, but there is a shortage. I will explain through this presentation, inshallah. Also, non-use of learning style. I look forward to apply learning style because it's very important to my workplace and students in Oman. I didn't find any of research paper related to persona focusing on learning style. That leads us to these questions. How can the reliability of an e-learning persona be enhanced? I formatted 3 questions here. The question 1, how can developer create an accurate e-learning persona based on learning style? The second question, how can an e-learning persona be created automatically? And the third question, how can the reliability of an e-learning persona be evaluated? Those 3 questions lead us to the aim and objective of this research. The aim of this study is to improve the development of the e-learning persona by developing 3 proposed models. Those proposed models seek to reduce the impact of e-learning persona limitation. Furthermore, all the 3 models are persona data driven, which means that the persona is based on data collected. from users, from actual user, and based on learning styles. The three objectives is the objective number one is to develop an accurate e-learning persona grounded on learning style. The second is to automate the creation of an e-learning persona, and the third one is to evaluate the ability of an e-learning persona. Let's talk about scope. This study focuses on persona creation techniques. So all the study is about the developing, enhancing the creation persona technique, which will reflect on enhancing e-learning persona. This study does not involve developing an e-learning system. The idea of the study is by developing three models, as I will explain later in theoretical framework. These models will be applied in a case study, but not involved in e-learning system development. It can be shared with the team who, for example, in Oman, in Ministry of Education, developing e-learning system to develop e-learning system based on the persona resulting in this research. The third scope is the persona enhancement will be used to create an e-learning persona in the study case, Omani government school student age 12 to 16 years old. As I said before, that's all limitations that I got related to this technique. I got it from research papers. However, those research papers which mention those limitations has done, in my opinion, not enough enhancement. I will show what the difference here by this study and the others study. First one, creating e-learning persona based on style of learning. The previous study, I couldn't find any study related to persona study grounded on learning styles. Also, an automated e-learning persona generation model based on learning style. I have several research that's automated persona creation. One of them in related to Al Jazeera TV, and also for a health care applications, but I haven't found any automatic creation study for learning style. Also, this study involved evaluation and comparing e-learning persona creation by automated model and standard models. Usually, in the previous study, what I have, they didn't evaluate the automated methods or persona result from automated models with a standard models to see which is better and what is more clear. They only evaluated it in with interview. But in my models, I will do the different models with the same users. Also, this study relying on public account, Twitter, to collect data based on demographic data. Why this make a contributions, because the other study was focusing on the organization's account. In case of Al Jazeera, the YouTube Al Jazeera channel, and the data collected from the user's response to that account. In mine, will be used the actually account using API, paid API for Twitter based on demographic data. I will explain it later also. Also, this study involved evaluating 4 different types of analyzing methods related to persona creations. Usually in the previous study, they just use one analyzing method to the same data. Here, I can tell this analyzing method is more effectiveness for the creation of persona than others one, because I use both of them. Also draw on a large number of participants. Usually what I have a few, really few study that have a big or large number of participants. Usually they have like 10 100 almost, or 200 maximum. Mine is targeting 1,000 of students. This study aims to lay out a clear set of steps for creating an e-learning persona that developer can easily follow. One of the aim of this study is to introduce the persona technique to the developer and make it very easy. So if there is some steps when evaluated unnecessary, I will cancel it and make it as simple as possible. Also, geographic location. Couldn't find any same study on the same geographic location, not just in Oman, I mean, often in neighbor country, Dubai, Saudi, and Qatar. I found in Qatar one of research related to Al Jazeera, but not in learning style persona. This study combined various models, collected data model methods, analysis model in single persona creation model. Combining those methods represent proof of a hybrid persona. In previous study, they mentioned a hybrid study persona which use qualitative and quantitative data. Now we use standard way by survey and automated way by using API features, combine in them in one models. After illustrated the contribution of the study, I would like to illustrate theoretical framework. This study theoretical framework consists of the main framework and 4 sub framework. Those the main framework, and as I said, one of the aim of this study is to propose models that can reduce the impact of the limitations of persona technique. So I have like proposal model 1 framework and model 2 framework and model 3 framework and evaluation framework. This the main theoretical framework. The main problem, which is lacks of reliability of e-learning persona, and I have sub problems, which is non-representative data, no standard and clear steps to create, non-use of learning style, expire, high cost, time consuming, lack of evaluations. Those related to the research object, which is to develop an accurate e-learning persona grounded on learning style, to automatic the creation of learning persona, to evaluate the ability of an e-learning persona. If you notice, this objective research is linked to the research gap or problems. Each one serve one of or two of the research problem. I have designed 3 models. Each models associated with one of objective research objective, and in the end, I will evaluate the 3 models, proposed models. Let's go for the first models and explain it, then the other one and the third one, and the end I will explain the evaluations models. Proposed model 1, which is standard e-learning creation model. This model is response to the 3 of research gap, which is not standard and clear step to create persona, not grounded on learning style, non-representative data, is associated with research objective number 1, which is to create an accurate e-learning persona grounded. Also, I mentioned here the contribution which this model can add to the field of studies. I have to mention here this models is based on a previous study but has some improvement. For example, one of the improvement of this models is using learning style grounded in survey, grounding e-learning style survey. Also, I use 2 types of analyzing, clustering and factors, so I can tell which one is better. And also, I'm targeting 1,000 students. Of course, I cannot conduct it now during the COVID, but I have like agreement from Ministry of Education to run this research, and they will allow me to do it in next year, inshallah, if everything will be okay. We move to the second proposal. The second proposal is response to 2 of 4 of research gaps, which is non-use of learning style, expire, high cost and time consuming. It's also associated with the second objective, and the contribution which this models is represent is this research providing automatic creation model for e-learning persona depending on learning style, relying on user public account, Twitter, to collect data. Also, this research involved on evaluated 2 types of analyzing. Also, this model can be evaluated using the model 1, e-learning persona. The model 1, which is standard models, the result of it can be compared to these models. These models have been similar to it, have been done before in previous study. However, they didn't evaluate this model with a standard model with the same data to know how it's work, how it's represent users well as the standard model or not. Let's go for the collected data. We have a conversion. Before starting, this is about creating tools using Python library and using Twitter API, paid API, because the public one doesn't have the same and profile doesn't give the same data as paid API. So the first step is configuration, then receiving data. Then I'm going to use 2 different types of analyzing. Then I do the generated persona, adding pictures, names, and in the end I will evaluate it within the users of e-learning. Here I have to indicate the way of learning style index. So I suggest in this theoretical framework to use in one of education theory, which link words and some behavior with learning style. So after I finishing doing the index table, I will evaluate it with the interview with students. Of course, the students will be tested their learning style in the usually way, then compare the result. If it's working well, I will approve it and I will use it. If it's not, I will repeat it until I find the index learning table which is accurate. The third models, which is called semi-automated, with combine the model 1 and model 2. And in this model, learning style will be investigated by survey. Also is used two different type of analyzing. And I will use Twitter API to collect data to enhance and to enrich persona, not to collect data about learning style as I did in the model 1. We can look to this model as improvement of hyper persona, which usually it used to be in the previous study, use qualitative and quantitative methods to create a persona. Now it's like improving for enhancement for this technique. We reach now to the third objectives. This model's response to evaluate the ability of unlearning persona. I will interview stakeholders, developer, team managers, tester, analyzing in Ministry of Education. I will provide them with a result models of 1 and 2 or 3 persona. Then I will interview them to know the credibility, clarity, and all of these elements to evaluate the persona. Also, those elements, I collected its dependence on previous study. Now we move to the second part of literature review. I go very quick on the literature review. My literature review contains 4 main parts, which is e-learning persona and type of persona and creating persona and data analysis. Each one of those in my report has details and sub title for each part of them. About related works, in my report, I grouping related work based on 4 titles. For example, I grouping all research paper about quantitative and qualitative methods of creation persona. Also, I group all automatic creation of persona, methods of analyze developing persona by adapting theory from different fields. For example, for automatic creation persona, I gathering them and discuss the method they use and result and shortage on it. Also, I did the same with the quantitative and qualitative method of creation persona. I gathering them and I discuss all those group together. Now we reach the methodologies. The reason of the methodologies is to illustrate how I can achieve all that talk I said in the introductions. In this methodology, I go through the data source and data analysis, research framework, and research operational framework. Regarding to data source, I have like, of course, the secondary type, which is literatures. I use a survey, which is quantitative data. I'm targeting 1,000 students. Also, I'm going to make individual depth interview with stockholders. It's qualitative data. Also, I'm going to use social media data using Twitter API to elect data for students. Data analyzing. In terms of data analyzing, I have to mention here those methods. It will represent a learning journey for me. I know them, but I haven't tried it before. All of those will be combined on all models, and I will evaluate which one is better than others and suitable for creation persona. Research framework. I divided my work is in 6 phases. Phases number 1, which is include find the problems and limitations and literature review. And the second phases will be finding, sorry to make it bigger, linking the learning style and finding the way to link data with learning style, the data which I will elect from Twitter API. After I get those data, I can start with phase number 3, which is represent model 2. I postponed model 1 because the circumstances of COVID. Now, here is the models. I will configurations the API, then I use analyzing, then creation of persona. Then I will go to standards e-learning creation models. And the phase number 5 is to do the semi-automatic learning persona, which contain those both. And I have already have the survey and have the data from Twitter, so it will be fast phases. And the third one will be evaluations. It will be interview as flowing the evaluation models, which I mentioned in the theoretical framework. And the last framework I have, which is operational framework, which display all activities that I will do to achieve the goals of this research. Here you can see. I think I reached the end of mine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salim, for your presentation. Now, if anyone has any question, I think Mustafa, you can directly ask Mr. Salim.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Salim. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very good work you have done. Just I am curious to know, do you know any differences between e-learning and massive open line course? MOOC, what university UTM provides, you know, any idea, or anyone can guide me or help me in this regard?
The e-learning system, which I mentioned, which is my concern, I think it's different because it's deal with the students individually. It's take care of their speed of learning. It's also take care of their style of learning. For example, if you are a visualized person, you cannot learn by reading only. You have to see. As you know, and the people who work with education know, there is different learning type. or learning style to the person. So e-learning system, which I mentioned, and we start to use it in Oman, but it's not the one that we use it now in the crisis of COVID. We just now use it online platform. It's like a communications methods. It's not e-learning system as I mean. It's very good, this one, for good students or weak students, because you cannot deal with good students and weak students in the same way, same methodology, and so on, especially in school students. I don't know what you mean about the UTM online. I have no idea about that one.
Anyone has any idea? Just, I'm so curious to know, what is the difference between e-learning and also this mock, MOOC mock? Okay. Nobody has any idea. Dr. Adam, probably, or anyone. Okay.
Okay, so anyone else? Any question?
Yeah, just I'm also another question last. What is the difference between a development and a research thing, If you say, let's say, creating some website or doing some e-learning and implementing, having a license for customer, is it the way we have to differentiate between research and development,
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question, but if you mean the term of development, I mean to develop the persona. It's mean to create. To create.
Using, let's say, social website or persona that you are going to use as a reference,
Yeah. Developing mean the term. It's mean to develop something from data to make it like a part. In my case, in a persona, this process I use. It's like that. I mean, I don't know what your point about it.
For example, you said drawbacks are, let's say, expiry. For example, it will expire after 1 year. So what is the contribution of your research when you say it will not expire? It will be lifelong. Is it correct?
Because if it's in visual number 2, it's automated generation of e-learning. It's a tools. It can be updated by itself, so it's not expired. That's one of the reason to use automated generated, so it's not expired.
It will not expire.
If you use survey, for example, you cannot run survey every 2 years or 1 year. It's not possible. It's costly, and it's need time and need labor. So it's not. I think that's problem can be solved by using social media data, which include everything now.
Okay. And did you compare your things, whatever you're doing, is it only in Gulf region, or you're considering the global,
I'm focusing actually in Arabic world more than global for
Arabic
the learning style. But all my reference is from IEEE, ASMM, so it's global.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and all the best for you.
Thanks for it. Thanks.
Lukman? Okay, I would like to answer Mutaba inquiry or question. What is basically e-learning? Okay, in UTM, basically we have this Moodle platform. Okay, so e-learning is basically whatever the system okay, whatever the learning system that helps the education community to reach out the materials, to do the engagement, okay, where you can have these online activities, okay, doing the assessment, getting the feedback from your instructor or from your lecturer. That is basically what is e-learning. Okay, MOOC or massive, whatever the acronym name for. Okay, MOOC is basically one kind of e-learning. So e-learning system is basically the general keyword to relate or to define the system provided to the education community in accessing the information, especially to do or to perform the teaching and learning activities by online, basically. Okay, that is e-learning system. But to ask whether what is persona technique is implemented in e-learning or MOOC technique, I'm not sure whether the UTM e-learning or UTM MOOC have this kind of persona, okay, because that's the purpose of Salim work. But he is concentrating on the his organization, basically, because Salim is government surgeon for Oman, okay, for the Ministry of Education. That is his intention. He would like to see what are the elements for the e-learning to be provided, to be delivered in his organization perspective. Okay, that is what actually Salim would like to do. Okay, but to ask whether UTM e-learning or MOOC, UTM MOOC have this persona, maybe some other person can conduct the research lah.
Okay, and then the research comes, from his research. Then it is a very good research.
And he basically look at what are the suitable persona to be suit or to be customized based on different personality. It's not personality, basically, it is a learning style. Okay, I think everybody well known about this aspect. We have different character, we have different auditory, visual, all the characteristics. So Salim would like to customize, to look further what are the aspect of learning style of these learners that can be customized towards providing good or quality persona inside or to be embedded in the e-learning system, whatever the system is for the e-learning. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Noria.
Okay, anyone else has any question? Okay, so if there's nothing else, okay, thank you everyone for the questions and comments. Also, thank you again, Dr. Johanna, for the sharing, and Mr. Salim for the presentation. If there's nothing else, I guess we can end our colloquium for today. Thank you everyone for joining today's colloquium, and see you again in the upcoming colloquiums. Assalamualaikum and have a great day.